The last topic under this chapter is intelligence. So under this subtopic, we are going to discuss first and foremost about what is intelligence. After that, we are going to discuss important factors that we need to know in order for us to measure human intelligence. And after discussing about measuring intelligence, we are going to discuss about important factors that contribute or influence our intelligence under the topics of genetic and environmental influences. And after that, we are going to discuss about the extremes of intelligence. In the last part, we are going to discuss about the alternative theories of intelligence under the topics of theories of multiple intelligences. Okay, before we go deeper, we need to know what is intelligence. So intelligence, according to definitions produced or developed in the United States, intelligence refers to an all-purpose ability to do well on cognitive tasks, to solve problems, and to learn from experience. Why did I mention about the origins of these theories or this perspective? Because even in our textbook, it already acknowledged that different culture define or regard intelligence differently. So that's why this is definition provided by the developer or by the conceptualized by people or expert from the United States. So this conception of intelligence has been used widely first in the United States and later on throughout the world. Even in our context, we still use some of the measures or intelligence measures or scale in our context which has been developed in United States before. Okay, Charles Spearman, 1904, introduced the idea that intelligence captures a common general ability that is reflected in performance on various cognitive tests. Okay, so basically, according to Spearman, they are people, a group of people who can do well in most or not all, if not all, of cognitive tasks or cognitive problems. So according to Spearman, he noted that school children who did well in math, they also did well in reading tasks. And he came up with the idea that intelligence is a general ability, which he referred as G. Okay, G. So basically, our intelligence, according to Spearman, is someone who have this general ability to do well in most of other tasks. So general intelligence underlies performance in a variety of areas, okay, such as math, verbal ability, or even abstract reasoning. Okay, psychologists measures intelligence using tests that produce an intelligence quotient. Okay, this is where we always heard that when people refer to someone who are clever, who are genius as someone who are having high IQ. So IQ here refers to intelligence quotient. Okay, by now sometimes we have heard people use other terms that refers to quotient as well. For example, EQ, emotional quotient. Okay, some even heard about spiritual quotient. Okay, spiritual intelligence. So there are multiple criteria that we need to consider in order for us to have a good measure or a good indicator of intelligence. Okay, we usually apply or use intelligence test. So for a good intelligence test, it must possesses a couple of good criteria. Okay, among the criteria, they are validity, reliability, and standardization. So for a valid and reliable intelligence test, it must demonstrate the high validity, reliability, and good standardization. So what is validity? Validity is the extent to which a test measures what it is intended to measure, what it is purpose to measure. Okay, if you are talking about general intelligence, so the test must measure general intelligence. If that test contains about mathematical problems, okay, about formulas, about reasoning, then the test must measure those aspects. That's why it must contain high validity. Besides validity, a good intelligence test must also possess good reliability. So what is reliability? Reliability is the extent to which a test yields a consistent, yields a reproducible measures of performance. Okay, it must have a consistency in providing the result. Okay. I think the common examples when people explain about validity and reliability, we can take as, for example, our watch. Okay, so watch supposed to give us the indication of time. Okay, of times. So a valid watch must show the exact, the accurate time. Okay, if now is 10 a.m. in the morning, so our watch must show 10 a.m. in the morning. So if the watch show different time, okay, or even broken, so the watch is not valid. Watch here is the analogy of intelligence test. Okay, so reliability means that if we look at our watch at the same time every day, the watch must show 10 a.m. in the morning. So say for example, today and tomorrow, it shows 10 a.m. in the morning, but day after that, it shows 10:05. Day after that, shows 10:10, for example. It shows that the watch is not reliable. So it's not consistent. The result is not reproducible. So in this case, a valid watch is a reliable watch. Okay, but a reliable watch may not necessarily a valid watch. Okay, so beside these two main criteria of good intelligence test, an intelligence test must have the ability to be standardized, okay, under which we call as standardization. Okay, development of uniform procedures for administering as well as scoring an intelligence test and creation of norms for the test must have a similar or consistent standards. So a uniform procedures. So basically, if we want to use it in different contexts at other times, so the procedure must be the same. The interpretations of the scoring must be highlighted and must be specified. Okay, we cannot have different interpretations to one group and another interpretations to another group. So by doing standardization, we would be able to develop a normative scoring, okay, whereby we have the standards for the populations, and when an individual score are generated, we can compare the standing of that person's intelligence in according to the norms or to the standards of its population. So these three aspects are very important criteria in order for us to decide on what to use to measure intelligence of a person. So in summary, so there are three criteria: validity, reliability, and standardizations. So validity deals with the question, does the test measure what it purports to measure? Reliability deals with the question, is the test performance consistent? And the standardization deal with the questions, are uniform procedures for administering and scoring the test used? Okay, whether there are standardizations, guidelines to administer, and guidelines for interpreting the score. When we want to measure someone's intelligence, we need to remember or we need to understand one key concept to measure the intelligence, which is the mental age. So Alfred Binet develops the concepts of mental age. So what is mental age? Mental age refers to a person's levels of mental development. Okay, an individual levels of mental development relative to the others. Okay, So what is our level of mental development? Is referring to our mental age. So Binet proposed, in order for us to measure a person levels of intelligence, we might compare the person mental age to his or her chronological age, or his own age from birth. Okay, so in order for us to understand whether we have normal, average level of intelligence, or above average or below average, we can calculate our mental age against our chronological age. So this is where the discussion involves intelligence quotient, which has been developed by William Stearns. So intelligence quotient, or IQ, refers to an individual's mental age divided by chronological age multiplied by 100. Okay, in order for us to know what is a person IQ, we need to take his or her mental age through using test, divide by his own chronological age, and then multiply by 100. If I am a 35 years old man, so I have to answer a test. So this, my test score, will divide by my own age, 35 years old, multiply by 100. Based, excuse me, based on this formula, if a person's mental age is the same as his chronological age, that person IQ will be 100. Okay. However, if the person got higher than 100, the person basically demonstrate a brighter or more intelligence than his own age. Okay, similar to if he got lower. Okay, a very bright child has a mental age above their chronological age, while a less bright child has a mental age below than their chronological age. So, if I want to know what is my IQ, intelligence quotient, I need to answer the test. And then this test answer will divide with my age, multiply by 100. If I got 100, basically my mental age, my IQ is similar to my age. So basically normal. If I got 130, for example, so I am above average, meaning that I am brighter or cleverer than the others. Okay, if I got 69, for example, meaning that my mental age lower than my chronological age, showing that I have a low IQ. There are many intelligence tests now in the market. Okay, some are free, but most are developed and standardized intelligence tests. We have to pay in order for us to use it. Okay, so there are many intelligence tests which are developed to measure our general intelligence, or our G. Okay, some examples of tests measuring Spearman's G are Stanford-Binet intelligence test and Wechsler intelligence test. Both are standardized as well as internationalized. Okay, have been used widely across the world. So IQ tests like Stanford-Binet and Wechsler, these two, have been tested to thousands of children and adults of the United States. So what happened when they asked a lot of people to answer them, they are able to establish normal distribution. So basically, when they give this test to a lot of people in the United States, they are able to get a normal distribution. So what is normal distribution? I think as a teacher, you have come across a lot of this bell-shaped curve. Okay, this is normal distribution, a symmetrical bell-shaped curve. Excuse me. So what is the importance of normal distribution? So when we get a normal distributed scores of anything, intelligence tests, exams, okay, even attitude tests or aptitude tests, this means that a majority of test scores, people who answer the intelligence test, fall in the middle of the possible range. Okay, if the median of that score is 50, for example, So it's fall like below and above 50. So the average or middle of the possible range. Few scores will appear towards the extremes. Extremes here means to the high score and low score. Okay, very few of the people or participants who answer intelligence test will get very high score and very few will get very low score. So most people will get a score in between of the middle range. So that's why when they use this test and ask a lot of children and adults in the United States to answer Stanford Binet intelligence test and Wechsler intelligence test, they get approximately normal distribution. This graph shows that how normal distributions play or depicted when we are able to develop normal distribution. Okay, for example, here the 50% is 100 IQ. So most people will be fall within this just below or above 50%, and very few, only 0.13% of people will get a very high score and very low scores. If you remember, the first thing that I talked when I explained about the definitions of intelligence, what is intelligent, I did mention that the definitions that we use in this class is definitions developed in the United States. And I did mention that intelligence have cultural influence. Okay, different culture regards intelligence differently. Okay, because of why? Because there are cultural bias in developing intelligence, understanding intelligence, and even testing the intelligence. And this is what we need to really pay attention. Many early intelligence tests were culturally biased. They favor people who were, one, from urban rather than rural environments, two, of middle rather than low socioeconomic status, middle class, three, non-Latino white rather than other colors such as black people, and four, men rather than women. So early intelligence tests, okay, all or the origins of intelligence tests, they sometimes cover or contains culture bias items. But now, even test developer psychometricians themselves started to acknowledge different culture, different socio-economic status have different way of testing or understanding intelligence. Therefore, the new versions of intelligence tests has already taken care of this aspect. But bear in mind that any intelligence test might have been exposed to cultural bias item. Therefore, we strive to develop culture fair tests. Okay, culture fair tests, intelligence tests that are intended to be culturally unbiased. Okay, many of the newer versions and newly developed intelligence tests aims or strive to create items and tests that are culturally unbiased. Intelligence is an interesting topic. Okay, not only psychologists, people in public, okay, teachers, parents also interested in intelligence. Okay, mostly they wanted to know what are the factors that contribute to intelligence. How can they enhance their own intelligence? Okay, psychologists discuss at length on the contribution of two factors on someone's intelligence, which are genetic and environment. So research have found that both genetic and environmental factors influence one's level of intelligence with various degrees. So not only one factor, okay, but both. And sometimes the combination of both genetic and environmental factors. In terms of genetic influence on intelligence, researchers use a statistic called heritability to describe the extent to which the differences among people can be explained by their genetic differences. So heritability here is the proportion of observable differences in a group that can be explained by differences in the genes of the group members. So in this case, when they conducted twin studies, they found that heritability of intelligence to be about 50%, or the most go as high as 75%. Okay, it's not 100%, meaning that if at 50% beside their own genetic, there are another or more factors have affected someone's levels of intelligence. Okay, they counted even half of it, okay, 50%, or even quarter of it, 25%. So it's not 100% depending on someone's genetic. So heritability here is a statistic, okay, the proportion of how much the difference in terms of our genetic heredity. So heritability here estimates, okay, heritability estimates can change over time and across different groups. Okay, some people inherit their heritability levels of genetic influence for intelligence 50%, some 75%, some even only 25%. So intelligence is a polygenic trait, meaning that it's not only referring to one gene, but it's actually a combination of a large number of genetic characteristics. So most of it not only depending on one genetic, so a combination of many genetic characteristics in someone's intelligence. So beside our genetic makeup, environmental factors also important in contributing our someone's level of intelligence. Even if the heritability of a characteristic is high, the environmental factors still matters. Okay, environmental interventions can change IQ scores considerably. So we're not saying that someone who don't have or don't inherit intelligence from their parents or family members that they are going to stay below average for the rest of their life. And in fact, interventions in the term of learning, in the term of educations can improve someone's IQ scores. So experiences in childhood can influence someone's intellectual quotient. Okay, for examples, dietary supplements, early educational intervention such as training on complex tasks. Okay, this has been found to improve IQ score, okay, up to 4 points. Okay, excuse me. Okay, interactive readings where parents ask open-ended questions, encourage the child to read and engage with the child actively about what they are reading. This also has been found to improve the child levels of intelligence up to 6 points. And in fact, research found that children who were sent to preschool, they have better intelligence than their counterparts who are not going to preschool, okay, with the additional of 4 points, increment of their IQ score. Interestingly, research also found that our intelligence can also evolve, okay, across the times. So Stanford Binet, so they found that the intelligence of normal people in the United States improved from 1932 to 1997, where the average score during 1992 Stanford Binet intelligence test is 100, but when they test it again in 1997, the average score is 120. Okay, the increment of 20 points. Okay, so this shows that across time, people started to be more clever, more intelligent as compared to others. Okay, more people have access to learning, more parents have awareness about knowledge. Okay, they send their children to school, they practice interactive reading among their children, and on average, people improve their or enhance their intelligence level. Even though genetic and environment both play important roles in influencing someone's or a group of people level of intelligence, research also found that there are group differences in IQ. Okay, this is interesting. If you read through the textbook, you will find that the author try very much to make sure that they do not sound any discriminatory towards any races. So they mentions one thing and the other thing. So if you bear in mind here, so here they mentions that they are group differences in terms of IQ. So in a large sample test, the mean levels or the average levels according to groups are different. Okay, they are mean level differences between groups in IQ scores, where they found that Asians, like us, or Asian Americans, they score higher than people who are European or European American. Okay, and in fact, European and European American, they score even higher than their African or African Americans. So if you categorize them, so Asian and Asian American would have the highest IQ, followed by European and European American, and followed by African or African American. What I said about interesting thing about this is, so in this part, okay, in this first part, the author try to explain there are differences, group differences, okay? But at the same time, he mentioned that race is not a good indicator of genetics intelligence. So historically, it has been used to classify people based primarily on skin color and other physical features. But now, people start to acknowledge that and try to avoid being biased or committing discrimination towards other group of people, other races. So they consider race is now recognized as a social category. In this same topic, the group differences, environment does matters very much, okay, especially in the developments of someone's IQ. So environment matters very much, and IQ differences between groups continue to shrink, okay, meaning that there is no much gap between white and black, okay, Latins, Asian, because their differences are shrinking, okay, become smaller. Over time, each new generation moves towards its maximum potentials, meaning that if someone are able to achieve the top score, so with different generation, new generation, people are getting cleverer and cleverer, so they develop even more intelligence. Disproving the notion that categories such as race limit our abilities. So it's basically not applicable. So intelligence is not about race. A key difference between black and white American is not about their intelligence. In fact, multiple research has found that it's mostly attributed to wealth or socio-economic status. So being white previously means that coming from a family that have a good financial status, which can provide their children with a good educational opportunities. So differences in performance on IQ tests indicate differences in experience such as educational opportunities, okay, because they have more wealth, okay, they have higher socioeconomic status, not because they have lower IQ. Another interesting topic under this chapter is the extreme of intelligence. So what happens if people score too high or too low, okay, in terms of their intelligence score. So here we are going to look at group of people which psychologists regard as intellectually gifted, and a group of people where psychology regard as intellectual disability. Okay, on average, based on IQ score, people score in the range of 70 to 130. Okay, if someone's happen to score higher than 130 IQ scores, so these are the people who have higher intelligence levels than the average population. So we call them as people who have intellectually gifted. On the other hand, there are a group of people who score lower than 70. So these are people that we regard as intellectual disability. So people who have score higher than 130 or giftedness, so people who have higher score than the average population. Gifted in this sense refers to people who possess high intelligence, an IQ of 130 or higher. So these are the people who have superior talent in a particular area, in this case, intelligence. So like intelligence itself, giftedness is a product of both heredity as well as environmental factors. One important factor in gifted education is identifying children as gifted. How can we recognize, how can we identify people who have gifted intellectual ability, or in this case, higher IQ score? So qualifying for gifted instruction usually involve social perception. And when it involves social perception, this is usually influenced by stereotypes. Okay, stereotypes. For example, in Malaysia, in our context, people who we regard as intelligent is usually people who can or who have good public speaking skills or presentation skill or communication skills. So if someone who score high in their test but unable to explain or have low level of communication or public speaking skill, they're least likely to be considered as intelligent. So in this sense, the expectation of giftedness or people who have high levels of IQ is being influenced by social perception and usually influenced by the stereotype. Okay, among example of stereotypes towards people who have possess high IQ is people who are gifted are usually poorly adjusted. Okay, they have poor adjustment skills, or they are unable to tolerate other people's opinions, or unable to tolerate people who go against their decision. Okay, those are examples of stereotypes addressed towards people who are gifted intellectually. Contrary to the stereotype, gifted children are actually not different from their average ability classmates in terms of personality as well as social characteristic. Gifted students are likely to be emotionally more stable as compared to people who have average or low level of intelligence. And these are people who are less worrying than their average ability children or average ability friends. Okay, in comparison, okay, on the other hand, people who score lower than 70, these are the group that we regard as intellectual disability. So they have limited mental ability and a low IQ. Okay, usually below 70 on a traditional intelligence test. Okay, along with they usually demonstrate difficulty adapting to everyday life. So there are a lot of discussion among psychologists and even among developmental psychologists on why there are people who experience these sorts of disability, which is intellectual disability. So we can consider two categories of reason why people have intellectual disability. One is organic intellectual disability. Another one is cultural familial intellectual disability. Okay, what are organic intellectual disability? These types of intellectual disability that caused by a genetic disorder or brain damage. Okay, so they are not originally, or they can be considered originally intellectually slow or disabled because they inherit some disorders or brain damage. For example, people who are born with Down syndrome. Okay, on the other hand, cultural familial intellectual disability is different. Okay, why? Because these are the people who have low IQ, but there is no evidence of organic brain damage. So basically, there are no problem with their genetics. Their families are all have average intellectual levels or IQ, but they have low levels. So these are the people who score in between 50 to 70 IQ scores. Okay, and usually when they investigate, these are the group of people who their intellectual ability being caused by growing up in a below average intellectual environment. So environment is very important. Okay, here. So there are two types of intellectual disability: organic intellectual disability caused by genetic disorder or brain damage, and cultural familial intellectual disability, which is because of or caused by the growing up in a below average intellectual environment. There is a special interest addressed towards people who demonstrate or inherit intellectual disability. And in fact, psychologists, developmental psychologists, teachers, educations, they develop special tests, okay, special tests, a sort of intelligent test, but specifically for people who have intellectual disability. Okay, we are going to look at this from measuring the adaptive behavior among people who have intellectual disability. The American Association on Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities has developed an assessment that examines a person's level of adaptive behavior for people with intellectual disability. So we use this test to look whether they can adapt to the normal life or not. So this measuring adaptive behavior contain three components. Okay, one, measuring conceptual skills; second, measuring social skills; and third, measuring practical skills. So do not misunderstood between this assessment and intelligent test, because this is for people who score below than 70, okay, between 55 to 70 IQ scores. Okay, why? Because it's important for us to ensure that this group of people would be able to survive in daily life. So the skill test or the test that we administer to them is a very basic living skills. For conceptual skill, the first dimension or the first components, example of tests that we administer to people who have intellectual disability is literacy and understanding of numbers, okay, understanding of counting money and understanding of the concept of time. Okay, a very basic conceptual skill. We also test or measure their social skill. Okay, for example, interpersonal skills, responsibility, self-esteem, ability to follow rules, and ability to obey rules, for example. So these are the example of social skills that we test. We test among people who have intellectual disability. And lastly, we also assess their practical skills. Okay, example activities of daily living, such as personal care, occupational skills, health care, traveling and transportation, and use of other communication devices, okay, such as telephones, internet, computer, and etc. So these three basic components, conceptual skill, social skill, and practical skill, we use it to test the adaptability or adaptive behavior of people who have intellectual disability. The last topic in this chapter is multiple intelligences. Okay, if you remember, when we define intelligence from the United States perspective by Spearman, so Spearman said that people who have intelligence is people who have the general ability to perform well in various types of cognitive tests. Okay, the key here is cognitive tests. So after intelligence became famous, attracted a lot of attention from psychologists, from teachers, from developmental psychologists, from parents, from public, people start to speculate whether there are other types of intelligences beside cognitive ability. And they come to the conclusion that there is a possibility, okay? There is a possibility that other intelligences exist alongside cognitive ability. Okay, so people start to speculate, start to hypothesize, and start to doing research and come up with theories. Because of why? Because we need more than one concept of intelligence. Okay, other people have proposed that we think about different kind of intelligence. Okay, this is where people come with different type of intelligence, such as emotional intelligence, social intelligence, streetwise intelligence, and etc. Okay, it's not about artificial intelligence in this sense. Okay, so what is emotional intelligence? So people start to think that they are people who average levels of mathematical skills, have average levels of language proficiency, average levels of reasoning and critical thinking. But they are very successful in what they are doing. Why? Because they judge emotion much better. So emotional intelligence refers to the ability to perceive emotion in ourselves and in others accurately. Okay, so people start to pay more attention to other type of intelligences beside cognitive ability. Among theories proposed in line with multiple intelligence are trikic theory of intelligence and Gardner's multiple intelligences. So let's look at trikic theory of intelligence. So Robert Sternberg, the one who developed this theory. So Sternberg developed the trikic theory of intelligence, which according to him, intelligence comes in different form. Okay, intelligence comes in multiple forms. Okay, specifically in three forms. Okay, in three forms. One, analytical intelligence. Second, creative intelligence. And third, practical intelligence. So it's not about cognitive intelligence only. So what is analytical intelligence? Analytical intelligence refers to the ability to analyze, ability to judge, ability to evaluate, ability to compare, ability to contrast. So here, analytical intelligence closely similar to cognitive intelligence or cognitive ability or cognitive process. However, on top of analytical intelligence, Sternberg also emphasized that beside analytical intelligence, humans also have creative intelligence, the ability to create, the ability to design, the ability to invent, the ability to originate and imagine. So sometimes even people who have high IQ, analytical intelligence, they are not creative person. They are unable to invent, for example. So this is a type of intelligence that are acquired or depending on people creative ability. Okay, the ability to create, design, invent, originate, and imagine. And the last type of intelligence under trikic theory of intelligence is practical intelligence. Okay, the ability to use, to apply, to implement, and to put ideas into practice. Okay, so practical intelligence. Again, in our life, we come across there are a lot of people who are so-called academic or theoretical. Okay, they know all the concepts, the philosophy, the reason behind it, but when we ask them to do it, they fail to do so. Okay, but there are people who don't even have idea. Okay, who don't even have any concept or any knowledge about what they want to do. But when you ask them to do it, okay, they get the ideas from others, okay, they comprehend the ideas, they conceptualize the ideas, and they can even implement the ideas better than the person who proposed the idea. So this is a type of intelligence as well. According to Sternberg, this is considered as practical intelligence. Another theory of multiple intelligence is the one proposed and developed by Gardner. Okay, we call this as Gardner multiple intelligences. So Gardner suggests that there are nine types of intelligences. Okay, what he regard as nine types frames of mind, frame of minds. And this frame of minds is different between one and another. So people might excel in one of these nine type of intelligence. And different type of intelligence suitable to different types of occupation or profession. Okay, for examples, frame of minds, verbals. Okay, people who have verbal intelligence. This is the people who have the ability to think in words and use language to express meaning. Okay, so if someone have this verbal intelligence or verbal frame of minds, they are suitable to become authors. Okay, they are suitable to become journalists or even speaker. Okay, and the second types of intelligence or frame of mind is mathematical. Okay, refers to the one or people who have the ability to carry out mathematical operations. Okay, people who have this ability are suitable to become scientists, okay, to become engineer or accountant. Okay, the third type frame of mind is spatial. Okay, the ability to think three-dimensionally. Okay, it's not easy. There are people who can only think two dimension or one dimension only. So people who have this ability to think in three dimension, they are suitable to work as architect, okay, to work as artist or sailor. Okay. Next types of intelligence is bodily kinesthetic. Okay, refers to people who have the ability to manipulate objects and to be physically adaptable or adapt. So people who have this ability, they are suitable to become surgeon or craft person, dancer or athlete. Okay, people who have bodily kinesthetic intelligence. And there are people who have musical intelligence. Okay, people who have the ability to be sensitive towards speech, melody, rhythms, and tone. And obviously, people who have this ability are suitable to become composer or musician. Okay, another type of multiple intelligence is interpersonal intelligence. Okay, the ability to understand, the ability to interact effectively with other people. Okay, people who have high interpersonal skills. So these people, they are suitable to work as a teacher, to work as mental health professionals. And the next types of intelligence is intrapersonal. Just now, interpersonals. This is intrapersonals. People who have the ability to understand oneself. Okay, people who have the ability to understand oneself. So these people, they are suitable to work as theologian or even become like me, psychologist. But I don't even know whether I have intrapersonal intelligence or not. Okay, goes next. Okay, naturalist intelligence. People who have this intelligence, they have the ability to observe patterns in nature and understand natural and human-made system. Okay, these are the people who are suitable to work as farmer, botanist, ecologist, and landscaper. Okay, and last types of multiple intelligence is existentialist. Existentialist. Okay, this refers to people who have the ability to grapple with the big questions, okay, philosophy of human existence. Okay, so these are the people who know to find meaning of life, okay, to understand the meaning, the wisdom of life, life and death, with special sensitivity to issues of spirituality, for example. So in this is actually quite new. Previously, when I learned about multiple intelligence, there are only 8 types of multiple intelligence, but now it's become 9. Okay, it shows that there is a new development in this perspective, this theory. Even Gardner himself has not identified an occupation for existential intelligence. Okay, but one career path would be likely become a philosopher. Okay, because these are the people who can grasp, okay, the big questions about the world, the meaning of existence, and etc. Okay, these are 2 types of or 2 examples of theories of multiple intelligences. Okay, trichic theory and multiple intelligences by Gardner. Both Sternberg's and Gardner's approaches have stimulated teachers to think about multiple intelligence, okay, to think broadly about what makes up children competencies. Okay, now educators, teachers, okay, they will be able to understand that there are some students who are good in math. Okay, there are some students who are really good in athletes. There are some students who are good in arts, okay, in music. Okay, not everyone have the general ability like the IQ concept. Okay, so what is the contribution of this new approach to multiple intelligence? So when this Sternberg and Gardner proposes multiple intelligence concept or multiple intelligence theory, they have motivated educators or teachers to develop programs that instruct students in multiple domains. Okay, because we know now there are different orientation of our students. Some students are good with language. Some students are good with their imagination, for example. So these theories have also contributed to interest in assessing intelligence and classroom learning in an innovative way. Okay, such as evaluating student portfolios rather than asking them to memorize, okay, and to answer paper and pencil tests. Okay, even though there are strong support, okay, to use or to apply multiple intelligence concepts in learning and education, there are still some doubts about this perspective. Okay, why? Because they are proponents, or they are people who questions the proponents of multiple intelligences. Okay, why? Because this perspective, multiple intelligence, have taken the concept of specific intelligences too far. Okay, if you talk about music, okay, if you talk about athlete, they could be so many types of multiple intelligence. Okay, people who good with imagination, for example. So, and the same way is there are still lack of research to support the 3 intelligences of Sternberg or even the 9 intelligences of Gardner. So people may excel at more than one specific intelligences, not only one. So this is, if people excel in all type of intelligences, it will be equal to what Spearman has proposed, okay, the general ability. So if musical skill is a distinct type of intelligence, so we could also consider other type of skill as an intelligence, okay. For example, chess players, okay, prize fighters, painters, or poets, okay, because they are so good at it, so we can also consider them as a specific intelligence as well. So they could be more than 9 actually. So in short, controversy still lingers whether it is more accurate for us to conceptualize intelligence as a general ability or as a specific ability, or actually combination of both. Okay, still controversies. People are still arguing on which is the most accurate or most correct way of understanding in human intelligence. Okay, those are everything that we need to discuss in this topic of thinking and intelligence, okay, in this chapter. So, in this video, okay, there are many parts of videos. So, we have talked about the cognitive revolution in psychology. We have talked about the concept of thinking, which we discussed about concepts, problem solving, and reasoning and decision making. And just now, we have completed discussing about intelligence. Okay, we briefly discussed what is intelligence all about, or what are the important criteria to measure intelligence. Okay, the influences of factors that contribute to intelligence, such as genetics and environmental influences. We also talk about the special case of extreme intelligences. And lastly, just now, we just talked about theories of multiple intelligence.